Hello everyone, I am Sir Andalot Reviews, and I'm back, and I'm ready to look at some more Generation 1 Transformers. But before I get started, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and if I can't convince you, perhaps this picture of my kitten will convince you. And, random fact about my cat society is that the news reporters there only report if the plane lands safely, so you can imagine how often plane crashes are. But without further ado, let's get into this! So the first episode we're gonna look at is Attack of the Autobots, where the Autobots attack humanity. Without further ado, let's get into this! So, the episode starts out with the Decepticons attacking Autobot base in the middle of the night. But there's something a bit amiss. Almost like this is actually a distraction because of Megatron's master plan here.
Now, Starscream! Excellent! My invisibility spray will provide the perfect cover for this operation! The Autobots' recharging chambers! Give me the personality destabilizer. There now. Tomorrow when those Autobots recharge their energizers, they'll experience a transformation they won't expect.
Anyways, so the Decepticons retreat, having accomplished their mission, and the Autobots notice that probably can't bode too well for the future.
A hidden run raid? That's not Megatron's style.
Perhaps we responded so quickly he had no time to achieve his objective.
Perhaps. But Megatron always has some method to his madness. And whatever it was this time, you can be sure it won't do us any—
Anyways, so it's the next day, and the Autobots decide to recharge. And then this happens.
Autobots? The Decepticons will stop at nothing to capture that satellite. We've got to get to the launch site and protect. Guard. Defend. I feel very strange.
Warning. Evil presence now infiltrating Autobot headquarters.
Very good, Teletran 1. The personality destabilizer I placed inside has converted your Autobot friends to my kind of mechanisms.
Autobots are noble. Your plan can never succeed.
Oh, it can't, eh? Autobots, obey my first command. Silence that annoying computer.
Optimus Prime, no!
Which, I actually really like this part because it starts with Optimus Prime saying stuff that he would normally say, and then it kind of shifts into him saying it more slowly, like this is stuff that he's having to force out of himself, which, I will say, they did a commendable job with the acting here. Anyways, so as it turns out, not all of the Autobots have been reprogrammed by the energy recharging station, and Jazz and Bumblebee are testing out Jazz's new speakers, but Bumblebee heads back to Autobot base and finds out something a bit weird with Autobot base and Blue Streak.
Hey guys! Where is everybody? Optimus Prime? Ratchet? Anybody?
Ah, Bumblebee. You look tired. Perhaps you'd like to recharge.
Hey, what's happened to Teletran 1?
Never mind that. You must recharge immediately.
Oh!
But luckily, Jazz comes just in time to save Bumblebee from being reprogrammed, and he also knocks out Blue Streak, and the not reprogrammed Autobots figure out that the rest of the Autobots have been reprogrammed, and are right now causing a lot of destruction. And Optimus Prime is leading an attack on an Air Force base, while Ratchet and Hound try to steal the blueprints for the satellite, and Bumblebee tries to go stop Optimus Prime, or at least talk some sense into him, and he fails pretty miserably. And even more bad news is that the launch site is under new management, under Decepticon management. But luckily, all hope is not lost, as the remaining Autobots and humans have found a way to counter the attitude adjuster with this thing here.
Oh, kind of like a goodness transfusion.
You got the idea, Jazz. Now all we have to do is test it on somebody.
I I think we got our first unexpected volunteer.
Lucy, you look like you again.
And Jazz goes around readjusting the attitude of more Autobots, but back at the airbase...
I can't stand any more of this.
Don't, Bumblebee!
Listen to me, Prime. If you're gonna destroy these aircraft, you'll have to destroy me with them.
As you wish, Autobot. Prepare for termination.
And I really like this part here because how Optimus Prime just says this with such conviction, like this is something he would do, except we know that this is something he wouldn't do, and that just makes this scene terrifying. Anyways, so the Autobots managed to adjust the attitude of Skyfire, and they managed to get to the airbase. And this reference here that I'm surprised hasn't become a meme yet comes up.
Smile, guys. This won't hurt a bit.
I mean, think of it. I could use it for things like, I don't know, r/insane parents, or r/nice guys, or explain to my cats why tripping me will not get them fed faster. I mean, think of all the possibilities. Anyways, so Optimus Prime splits into his 3 components, and the Autobots are able to get the other 2, but they cannot miss with getting Optimus Prime himself. But luckily, Bumblebee steps up to help turn Optimus Prime back in this great scene here.
I know you're not evil. I believe in you. You've got to fight it. Don't give in.
Help me, Bumblebee! Quickly! You did it, little friend.
Anyways, so the Autobots manage to get to the rocket just as it's about to launch, and they manage to detach the satellite, and they get it into space, and the episode ends. And overall, I will say that Attack of the Autobots is one of the best episodes in the entire series, bar none. And I will say that it does the concept of the Autobots turning evil probably the best in the entire series. And I will say that I also love how they give Bumblebee some time to shine. And I will say that I do have 2 minor complaints, and that's that some parts do kind of feel like they're just more blink and you'll miss it. Kind of like it's there for a few seconds and then it just skips to another part. And also the ending does feel kind of rushed. But other than that, this episode is great, and I would highly recommend you watch it. But without further ado, on to the next episode, which is Microbots, where 3 of the Autobots turn Mini to infiltrate Megatron. Without further ado, let's get into this! So, the episode starts out with some archaeologists in Central America discovering that there's a massive spaceship inside of a mountain, and the Decepticons also take interest in that. But back at Autobot base, there's a bit of trouble.
Yeah, Perceptor, there's real work to be done around here.
This is real work, Brawn.
Real work is crushing Decepticons, not fussing with chips.
If I didn't fuss with chips, you couldn't crush Decepticons.
Lay off, Brawn. Perceptor's as important as any of us.
So where is he when we're fighting?
It takes more than muscle to fight.
Yeah, it takes courage. Or maybe that word's not in your fancy vocabulary.
Anyways, so the Decepticons get there, and they find out that the spaceship is holding the heart of Cybertron, which gives Megatron the ability to shoot lightning from his fingertips, and he uses it to great effect against the Autobots in the coming battle. And the Autobots get beaten so badly that they have to shoot a hill to basically hold Megatron and the Decepticons for a while, and retreat back to Autobot base. But luckily, Perceptor has a plan to shrink himself and 2 other Autobots down to size, and pull the heart of Cybertron out from the inside. And we get this scene here.
Decepticons, a toast to the imminent destruction of the accursed Autobots.
Energy! We won't need to conserve it after tomorrow. We can bleed this planet dry! Boy, these are good. I needed to refuel. Energy!
This stuff's the greatest. Those were the good old days back on Cybertron. Didn't have to sneak around in these ugly-ass disguises.
And yes, you just witnessed the Decepticons getting drunk in a kid's show. Anyways, so Power Glide manages to launch something onto Megatron, then the Autobots get out and get inside of Megatron. But Megatron wakes up and decides to head over to Autobot base to go teach them a lesson, after finding out that his colleagues are a bit too drunk to come to work. And Perceptor gives some really bad news.
And we've got less than 2 hours to get to it.
Why's that?
Because the reductor beam will wear off and will return to normal size.
Now you tell us.
I mean, that's kind of a jerk move there, Perceptor. Think that would probably be some good information to know sooner. Anyways, so the Autobots managed to make it to Megatron's brain, but Megatron manages to make it to Autobot base, and is pounding the living daylights out of them. But luckily, the evil impulses from Megatron end up leading straight to the heart of Cybertron, which the Autobots use to their advantage to help find the heart of Cybertron, and also get to it. And they manage to disconnect it, and it gets awkward for Megatron.
It's all over, Prime.
Not until every Autobot program is erased, Megatron.
You're finished. What?
Anyways, so the Autobots manage to get out, and they also end up destroying the heart of Cybertron. And Brawn says this here.
Somebody saved all our lives.
Who, Braun?
Ask my buddy here about it. And ask him polite, because anyone who doesn't think he's a hero is gonna have to answer to me.
And overall, I will say that Microbots is actually a good episode. I didn't have a whole lot to talk about with it, but I will say that the plot is easy to follow, and I liked the episode. I also liked how the conflict between Brawn and Perceptor was resolved, and I will say that some parts of it did feel a tiny bit like filler, but that's just a minor nitpick on my end personally. But other than that, I would highly recommend this episode, and I think it's good. But, without further ado, on to the next episode, which is Master Builders, where Grapple and Hoist work with the Constructicons for some reason. Without further ado, let's get into this. So, the episode starts out with Power Glide getting shot down over someplace by the Decepticons. Meanwhile, back at Autobot base, Grapple and Hoist make a model solar power tower, which will be really great for the war effort and the Autobots. And Optimus Prime, however, doesn't quite approve of it.
Wow! Did you guys make that slick doohickey?
And just what does your doohickey do?
Nothing really. It's just a model of a solar power tower.
Don't be so modest, Grapple. The real tower will create gigawatts of energy, and it'll also...
Cool it, Hoist. Prime, we want to construct a full-size tower. The energy benefits would be enormous.
I agree completely. But how do you intend to protect it from the Decepticons? Perhaps you didn't consider that.
No, Optimus. I'm afraid I didn't.
Then I must regretfully withhold approval of the tower. If it ever fell into Megatron's hands...
I mean, Prime, think of it. you have literal leverage. I mean, you could probably also put some, like, defensive towers on it. That could maybe help you defend against the Decepticons. Maybe put it in, like, a place not too far from Autobot base. Or, I don't know, you could probably just tell Megatron that, hey, Megatron, I have a thing that, you know, produces a lot of energy, and if you end this war, we'll be willing to share some with you, but I'm gonna have a few conditions for you. I mean, think of it like this, you could end the war. I mean, you have something that literally makes stealing energy from the humans completely worthless. And you also have the technical expertise to make it, so there's that. Why not make it, Prime? Anyways, so the Autobots get an alert that Powerglide has been shot down, so Grapple and Hoist go fix him up. And Grapple and Hoist think about possibly making the tower themselves, but they don't have the manpower or the energy. But would you look at that? There just so happens to be manpower and people have access to energy who can help them build it, as the Constructicons so kindly explain.
Relax, Grapple and Hoist. We're not your enemies. Megatron knows nothing of our meeting with you.
Wait, let's hear what the Constructicon has to say.
It's simple. If we wanted to destroy you, you'd be 10 feet under by now.
And we could still finish the job.
None of that, Bone Crusher. We've got no grievances against these two.
What do you want from us, exactly?
We've left Megatron. He took us for granted, ignored our potential. Back on Cybertron, we all admired your buildings, Grapple. They were works of art. So why can't we pool our skills now?
Imagine, Hoist. With their help, we could build a power tower easily.
But they're Decepticons, Grapple. Could we ever trust them completely? I must have your decision!
And we must have proof that you're telling the truth.
You shall have the proof you require!
Anyways, so the Constructicons return to Decepticon base, and Megatron has a quick talk with them about how they should indeed stay loyal to him, but the Constructicons manage to convince Megatron that they are still loyal to him, and they're really just playing Grapple and Hoist. So Megatron lets them borrow some of his Energon cubes, and the Constructicons get some more construction materials through ways that HR might have a bit of a word with them on.
Wait a minute, I didn't send for any more trucks. Turn this rig around and... Huh? Where's the driver?
Right here, Buster. Stand aside.
We've got work to do.
And we need your building materials to do it.
We'll just help ourselves if you don't mind.
Or even if you do. Me mind? Why should I?
Anyways, so the Constructicons and Grapple and Hoist build Grapple's solar tower, and they also seem to actually have a good time working together, which brings up an interesting point of mine. And something that I've noticed, and I'm not sure if this is what the episode makers intended, but if you think about it, this episode kind of shows that the Autobots and Decepticons can actually accomplish a lot more if they pool their resources together. I mean, think of it. Grapple and Hoist had the idea to build a solar power tower, but they didn't really have the resources or the manpower. Meanwhile, the Constructicons just so happen to have the resources and the manpower, but they didn't exactly have the idea to build it. And I think that that's pretty interesting. And another thing that I have noticed that one of the comments in this episode actually brought up is where Scrapper said how their talents were not appreciated by Megatron, which I think is partially true because Megatron clearly did not sign off on this plan and they just so happened to come across this by luck. And I think that the Constructicons and Grapple and Hoist actually enjoyed working together, which is pretty interesting for a kid's show. Anyways, So, Powerglide spots Grapple and Hoist with the Constructicons, and Optimus Prime assembles the Autobots to go have a little chat with Grapple and Hoist about not working with the Decepticons to build a major tower. Meanwhile, the Constructicons and Grapple and Hoist end up finishing Grapple's energy tower, but they get captured by the Decepticons. But luckily, the Autobots arrive, and they fight the Decepticons, but the Constructicons merge into Devastator, so the Autobots have to use Devastator against the tower. So they do that, and the Decepticons retreat. And the Autobots have to search for Grapple and Hoist, and Optimus Prime says this to them.
I don't suppose these fancy doors were in your original plans either, huh, Grapple?
Oh, Optimus. I'm so ashamed. Me too.
Apologies accepted. Now we better get to headquarters for repairs, after which you'll return here to clean up this rubble. By yourselves.
And overall, I will say that Master Builders is a really good episode. And I really like the concept of how the Constructicons and Grapple and Hoist, despite working on different teams, actually managed to pull their resources and knowledge together and managed to create something really great. And I guess this also shows that the conflict between the Autobots and Decepticons is kind of pointless if you think about it, because if they were to pool their resources together, they could probably actually create something more beneficial for both Autobots and Decepticons, like the solar power tower, for example. And I think that is really deep for a kids show. And I will say one minor complaint that I had was that the fight against Devastator did feel a little bit like padding, but that is my only complaint that I have with the episode. But other than that, I like the relationship between the Constructicons and Grapple and Hoist, because they seemed like were more like coworkers who liked working with each other. And overall, I highly recommend this episode because it is really good. And I think with that, that's going to do it for today. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.